Hi everyone. Okay, so here's my next newest book. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to name this one either. Um, as I mentioned in the previous video, I'm trying to remember how I uploaded them. But anyways, I've created like 3 to 4 new books this year, and I haven't really posted anything in quite a long time because I've been on a having to deal with sprained ankle. Got through that, some health issues that kind of knocked me off my feet because I didn't expect to get hit with them, and it took me a while to find the right doctors that could figure out what was going on with me. So thank you, Jesus, on the road to recovery. So in the process of this journey that I've been on this year, I've also slowly been creating books based on, which is what all my art is based on my experiences, my thoughts, my journey, things like that. And these are no different. So these are some of the things I've been going through this year. So in this one, you're going to see my colors are just so much more vibrant. I incorporated some pinks and yellows and blues, and because through this journey, I needed to find inspiration. I needed to find fresh hope and fresh, faith. And I needed, things that were going to lighten my mood and not give up. And it's like, be determined to follow through. You got this, even though nobody has an answer or what's going on in you, you can do this. So this is how this all came about, was incorporating those kind of colors that helped me, keep my mood lifted up, keep me hanging on. So you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when you look at some of the words in here. But this is one of my newest books. I haven't decided if I want to carry some of this over here. And even though I'm showing this to you guys, most people think, well, then you're done, right? Well, yes and no, because there's times right before I'll list a book for sale, there's another thing that speaks to me. It's like, oh, this totally needs to go in here. And I will go ahead and incorporate it. And it all of a sudden it brings it even more to life. So at this point, I feel like it's completed. But at any point up until I list it, yeah, that could change. So as you can see, love the color schemes going on in this baby. Some old buttons. So I started with, this is an old drafting paper. Okay, I love that blue tones in there. Holding On by Faith, which is exactly what I've been feeling. Okay, now I haven't decided, let me get this over a little bit. I haven't decided if I want to put some words going around here or not. And the reason I haven't is because anything I do over here, will it take away from my focal point? This is my focal point. Anything over here is just adding to the focal point. But if it becomes so strong and so vibrant, or powerful behind it, such an impact that it pulls you and the eyes going back and forth, then a viewer doesn't know what's really, what is the focal point. And not in that, you're making me have a headache. My eyes are tired. So I always have to keep that in mind. This is my focal point. So what it was is, when I was traveling overseas, I came across in an alley, an old garage door. And I fell in love with that. It had some different, these are more vibrant than what the colors were on the door. The garage itself, it was just a tiny little shack, but it had a garage door per se. I took a picture of it. So from that picture, I then created my version of the painting. And fell in love with it. And so every time I do this painting, I change it up. Sometimes it's more dreamy. Sometimes it's got more, because there was bricks on the sides. So you can see where I kept a few of the bricks. But yeah, this was just one of those things where it's like, good Lord, really love that. And it just speaks to me. And not including the fact you can see it's intriguing when you look behind it. Okay, so now you can see there's colors I've incorporated from the door, different sayings. This is from an old ball gown dated, let's see, I think it was very, very late 1700s or beginning 1800s. It could be a little bit older than that. I'd have to see if I could find my records on it. But very delicate. Okay. So then you can see I used it's kind of hard, but it's an old vintage quilt piece. Okay. And I found through my travels a bag that had scraps of where they were trying to make a quilt but never materialized. And so I went ahead and I bought this, and it's perfect. I love the different colors. And so then I go and add my elements to it, the stitching, you know, whether it's buttons. But you can see from the back side, it was perfect. It fit this. Love it. This is just some paint. You know, sometimes I work on big scales, and then I cut down my paintings and incorporate little pieces into them. So that's all that you can see, different things. Some more of my papers that I dyed. Okay. Same thing. This was from a bigger sheet. I cut it down. Okay. And then I incorporated, add some fabrics, but fit this perfect. I still would love to just splash some paint over here. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave it alone, because sometimes the person that gets it might want to do their own thing. So I just have to wait for it to tell me. This is actually from when I went out for a drive, and the sunset was gorgeous. Snapped that picture and then printed it out, and voila. Okay, I didn't even have to do anything to it. That's how vibrant. I mean, it was just crazy how pink the sky was that day. Yeah, some more. This is an image transfer from my travels overseas from one of the churches that I visited. Okay, old papers, more of that drafting paper, some more of my dyed papers. See, this is from one of my travels. You know, found a field of these gorgeous cottonwoods. I think that's what they're called. And yeah, I just incorporated that. This is from an old, so what it was is, in France, there was this one church. It was like off the beaten path. But what it was, anybody who ever came through that got married, they recorded the person's names, both of them, the date, all that stuff. So what happened was, is each time they got them filled, they stored them down in the cellar or underneath, whatever they would call it. And what happened was, one time, is it started leaking down there. So these books, let me see if I have one. Hang on for a second. You can see from here, I mean, there's water stained. They took a beating like you wouldn't believe. And of course, you know, so I came across these, and I fell in love with them. The only problem is that they're so delicate. They're from 1700s. There is some that I have that show recordings from the 1600s, but the paper is just like, I was amazed they were getting them, selling them, but you know, regardless of the fact, I fell in love with it. So I use them as displays. And the one book, I have another one that's literally fallen apart. I mean, like, the pages are just, you know, so water stained. And then I use remnants from it. You know, the ones that are falling apart, I put them in little pieces. So yeah. And sometimes, you know, I get asked many times, how did you come across? It's really just being in the right place at the right time. You know, who knows? I mean, I wish I could tell you the secret to it, but for me personally, my walk is just happening to be where I walk into a store or a shop or an antique flea market, or, you know, different things like that through my travels, whether it's in the US or it's outside of the US. And it just happened to be where, you know, it was perfect, God's blessing on it, and I came across it. And so, yeah, I cannot say enough about that. But anyways, let's move on, because I'll just keep going on and on. But anyways, an angel from my travels, and then different paintings that I did. Okay. This is one of my angels I took overseas, and then, yeah. How sweet is that? This is part of that painting I took of the tree with the sunset. How pretty is that? Yeah. Okay, so different pictures. This is a print of a painting that I did. This is from my a path that, or not actually a path, a road that I went down that had these, you know, the trees, and yeah, it was perfect. You know, birds, everything like that, more of that paper. Um, pretty, pretty, pretty. And then part of my painting. Yeah, another picture that I took on my travels, paintings that I cut down, some more of that paper I told you about. And then, yeah, different things, little tidbits that I like, because I like things to go past the edges. I like things to intrigue the viewer to want to find out. I see something, what is that? I got to find out. More of my paper. How gorgeous is that with the flowers? Okay. Some more of my paper on drawing paper that I started out where it was supposed to be scratch, or not scratch, scrap paper, and then ended up being jelly print. And then, yeah, it just keeps going. You know, it's whatever I'm feeling in the moment. Okay, let's see. Where am I? Okay, so this is on my travels. I want to say, I thought it was Tennessee. I don't know. I have to look at my notes. But we were going to a cafe and it kept, you know, having to go down, and we went down these different alleys and everything. And all of a sudden, someone had done this massive painting of Wings. Oh yeah, Nashville, because there's the guitars and everything. So I was just like, we got pictures of us standing in front of it, like wings are coming out of us. We did it separate. I mean, it's just, it was amazing print. More writing behind it, tissue, and different things that I've gotten through, you know, most of this is from overseas. This was from an office that I visited one time for an appointment, and they had this. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. Old vintage quilt that I did some stitching on, more of my painting, and then I just emphasize it with, you know, whatever I'm feeling, you know. Some more of that. Some more of my paper. Some more of the quilt. This isn't vintage. This was just, you know, fabrics that I pieced together and did that. Yeah, how sweet is this? And see here, I really want to add this to here. So I keep this here because I haven't decided. And if I've, you know, I really like that look. So I may go ahead and incorporate it. And I like how it reflects over here. So this was when I was overseas in France, and this is when I was overseas at one point in Italy. So the two of these, which is, this is Sortie, which is, I think I pronounced that right, but it's Exit, you know. So I thought, I love it. And then this was just a scrap piece of watercolor paper that I just kept over time, you know, putting paints on because I didn't want to waste my paint, you know, had left over. So, and more of the quilt. And then my last thing is Hope. And then we're to this. And I just need to sign it. But I haven't decided, you know, like say, am I going to sign here? Or am I going to sign here? I don't know. We'll see. You know, but I did want to show you that because at this point, it's basically done except for maybe, like I said, that piece of paper, tweaking it a little bit if I want to add any more stitching. But I did want to show everybody because I do appreciate everybody's patience, because I get numerous emails asking, when are you ever going to list any new books? When are you going to ever show any? You know, I am slowly getting back into the studio again and starting to, yeah, to create. Thank you, Jesus, on that one. But here we are. Okay, so thanks for coming along on this journey, and I'll see you down the road, you guys.